Hello and welcome to EnglishVibesHub, the ultimate destination for improving your English conversation skills. I'm your host, Emma, and today we're going to talk about something really important for all of you who are looking to advance in your careers or maybe start a new job interviews in English. It's a topic that can be quite daunting, but don't worry, we're here to help you prepare and feel more confident.
That's right, Emma. Job interviews can be nerve-wracking, especially when they are in a language that's not your first. But with the right preparation and practice, you can significantly improve your chances of making a great impression. So let's dive right in and explore some of the basics of job interviews in English.
To start off, it's essential to understand some common phrasal verbs and idioms that are often used in job interviews. For instance, let's take the phrasal verb to follow up. This means to contact someone again after an initial meeting or conversation to check on the status of something, like the progress of your job application. For example, I plan to follow up on my application next week to see if they need any additional information.
Exactly, Emma. And another useful phrasal verb is to brush up on something. This means to quickly review or improve your knowledge or skills in a particular area. So if you're applying for a job that requires knowledge of a specific software, you might say, I've been brushing up on my Excel skills to make sure I'm proficient. It shows initiative and a willingness to learn and improve.
I love that example, Liam. And let's not forget about the idiom to think on your feet. This means to be able to think and react quickly in a situation, which is very useful in job interviews where you might be asked unexpected questions. Being able to think on your feet can help you come up with thoughtful and impressive responses, even when you're caught off guard.
Thinking on your feet is indeed a valuable skill, Emma, and it's also important to be able to pick up on cues during the interview. This means to notice and understand hints or suggestions that the interviewer might be giving you and to respond appropriately. For example, if the interviewer mentions a specific challenge the company is facing, you could pick up on that and explain how your skills and experience could help address it.
That's a great point, Liam. Being attentive to these cues can really help you tailor your responses and show how you can contribute to the company. Now, let's talk a bit about the structure of a typical job interview. What are some of the common sections or questions that people can expect, Liam?
Well, Emma, most job interviews will start with an introduction and some small talk, which is a great opportunity to build rapport with the interviewer. Then, they'll typically move on to more formal questions about your background, experience, and qualifications. This is where you can really showcase your skills and achievements and explain why you're the best fit for the job.
And don't forget about the part where they might ask you to give an example of a time when you overcame a challenge or achieved something significant. This is a chance to use the STAR method: situation, task, action, result to structure your response and make it clear and compelling.
The STAR method is really helpful, Emma. It ensures that your answer is concise and effective and that you cover all the important points. Now, I'm curious, what do you think is the most common mistake people make during job interviews, Emma?
One of the biggest mistakes, Liam, is not preparing thoughtful questions to ask the interviewer. This shows interest in the company and the position and can also give you valuable information to help you decide if the job is right for you. It's a two-way conversation, after all.
That's so true, Emma. And it's also important to remember that the interview is not just about showcasing your skills and experience, but also about finding out if the company culture and values align with your own. So don't be afraid to ask questions like, what's a typical day like in this role? Or how does the company approach professional development?
Exactly, Liam. It's all about finding the right fit, both for you and for the employer. And speaking of fit, let's talk about how to fit in with the company culture. This means being able to understand and adapt to the values, norms, and expectations of the organization. It's not just about doing your job well, but also about being a team player and contributing to the overall atmosphere of the workplace.
Fitting in is crucial, Emma, and it's something that you can demonstrate during the interview by showing enthusiasm for the company's mission and values, and by giving examples of how you've worked collaboratively with others in the past. It's all about showing that you're not just looking for a job, but that you're looking to become a part of a team and contribute to its success.
I think we've covered some really important points so far, Liam, but there's still so much more to discuss. Let's keep exploring the world of job interviews in English and see what other tips and tricks we can share with our listeners.
Absolutely, Emma. And I think our listeners are really going to appreciate the depth and detail we're going into. So let's keep the conversation going and see where it takes us.
Sounds like a plan, Liam. And to our listeners, we'll be right back after this break. We're going to continue our discussion on job interviews in English, so stay tuned for more insights and advice.
Yes, we've got a lot more to cover, including some common interview questions and how to answer them effectively. So don't go anywhere, we'll be back in just a moment.
And when we come back, we'll also be talking about how to stand out from the crowd and make a lasting impression on the interviewer. It's all about being memorable and showing that you have something unique to offer.
That's right, Emma, and I think our listeners are really going to benefit from this conversation. We're not just covering the basics, but also diving into some of the more nuanced aspects of job interviews in English.
Exactly, Liam. And I think that's what sets our channel apart. We're not just providing surface-level information, but really digging deep and exploring the topics in a way that's engaging and easy to understand.
Well, I think we're off to a great start with this episode, Emma, and I'm excited to see where the conversation takes us from here.
Me too, Liam. Let's keep the conversation going and see what other insights and advice we can share with our listeners. And don't forget to keep an eye out for our next part, where we'll be diving even deeper into the world of job interviews and sharing some of our top tips and tricks for success.
That's right, Emma. We've got a lot more to cover, and we're excited to share it all with our listeners. So let's keep the conversation going and see where it takes us. You know, Emma, I've been thinking, and one of the most important things to get right in a job interview is to pick up on the company culture. What do you think?
Absolutely, Liam. Picking up on the company culture can make or break your chances. It means to notice and understand the values and atmosphere of the company. For example, if the company emphasizes teamwork, you should play up your teamworking skills during the interview.
That's a great point, Emma. Playing up your strengths is crucial. I remember in one of my interviews, I was asked to bring up a time when I overcame a difficult challenge. I had to think on my feet and come up with a good example.
Oh, I love that example, Liam. Bringing up a relevant story can really help you stand out from the other candidates. And it's also important to follow up with the interviewer after the interview to show that you're still interested in the position.
Exactly, following up can make a big difference. Now, let's do a role play to practice some of these phrases. I'll be the interviewer and you can be the candidate. We'll go over some common interview questions and see how you respond.
Sounds like a plan, Liam. But before we start, can you explain what go over means in this context? I want to make sure our listeners understand.
Of course, Emma. To go over something means to review or discuss it in detail. So, in our role play, we'll go over some common interview questions and practice responding to them.
Great, thanks for explaining that, Liam. Now, let's get started with the role play. What's the first question?
Okay, so let's say we're interviewing for a marketing position. The first question is, can you tell me about a time when you had to come up with a creative solution to a problem?
Ah, that's a tough one. Let me think for a moment. Okay, I've got it. In my previous role, we were facing a deadline to launch a new product, and our marketing team had to come up with a campaign quickly. I suggested we team up with a social media influencer to promote the product, and it ended up being a huge success.
That's a great example, Emma. It sounds like you really rose to the challenge and came up with a creative solution. Now, let's move on to the next question. Can you fill me in on your experience with social media marketing?
I'd be happy to, Liam. With my previous company, I was responsible for setting up and managing our social media accounts. I kept track of our engagement metrics and adjusted our strategy accordingly. It was a lot of work, but it was worth it to see the results and know that our efforts were paying off.
Wow, that sounds impressive, Emma. It's clear that you have a lot of experience with social media marketing. Now, let's take a break from the role play and discuss some other important aspects of job interviews.
Sounds good to me, Liam. One thing that's really important is to be prepared for common interview questions. You should look into the company and the position and brush up on your skills and experiences so you can talk about them confidently.
That's right, Emma. Being prepared can make a big difference in how confident and competent you come across in the interview. And it's also important to ask questions during the interview to show that you're interested in the company and the position.
Absolutely, Liam. Asking questions can really help you get a feel for the company culture and the day-to-day responsibilities of the job. And it can also give you a chance to show off your knowledge and skills.
I completely agree, Emma. Now, let's get back to our role play and practice some more interview questions. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready, Liam. Let's do it. But before we start, can you explain what get back to means in this context?
Of course, Emma. To get back to something means to return to a previous topic or activity. So, in our case, we're getting back to the role play after taking a break to discuss some other aspects of job interviews.
That makes sense, Liam. Okay, let's get back to the role play. What's the next question?
Okay, so let's say the interviewer asks you, where do you see yourself in 5 years? How would you respond to that?
That's a great question, Liam. I would say that in 5 years, I hope to have moved up to a leadership position where I can bring in new ideas and perspectives to help the company grow and succeed.
That's a great answer, Emma. It shows that you're ambitious and motivated. Now, let's wrap up the role play and summarize some of the key takeaways from our conversation.
Sounds good to me, Liam. But before we wrap up, I just want to touch on one more thing. It's really important to send a thank you note or email after the interview to express your gratitude and reiterate your interest in the position.
That's a great point, Emma. Sending a thank you note can really help you leave a lasting impression on the interviewer and increase your chances of getting the job.
Exactly, Liam. And I think that's a great place to leave off for now. We can continue the conversation in our next segment.
Welcome back to English Vibes Hub. I'm Liam, and we're here with Emma to discuss job interview basics in English. Let's dive right back into our conversation where we left off.
Exactly, Liam. So, as we were discussing, body language and tone of voice are crucial during an interview. But let's talk about some phrasal verbs and idioms that can help you sound more confident and fluent.
That sounds like a great idea, Emma. I've always struggled with using phrasal verbs naturally in conversations. Can you start with one that's commonly used in job interviews?
Sure thing, Liam. Let's take follow up as an example. It means to contact someone again after an initial meeting or conversation, usually to check on the status of something or to provide more information.
That's really helpful, Emma. So in the context of a job interview, I could say, I'll follow up with you next week to see if there are any updates on my application. Is that correct?
That's absolutely right, Liam. Using follow up in that way shows that you're proactive and interested in the position. Another useful phrasal verb is brush up on something, which means to review or improve your knowledge or skills in a particular area.
I like that one, Emma. It's a good way to talk about preparing for an interview. For instance, before the interview, I brushed up on the company's latest projects so I could ask informed questions.
Exactly, Liam. Being well prepared and showing genuine interest in the company can make a big difference. Let's also look at the idiom think on your feet. It means to be able to think and react quickly, often in unexpected situations.
That's a great one, Emma. In an interview, you might be asked a question you didn't anticipate, and being able to think on your feet can help you come up with a thoughtful response. Can you give us an example?
Certainly, Liam. Imagine being asked, what would you do if you faced a difficult situation at work? You could say, well, I think it's important to remain calm and assess the situation carefully before deciding on a course of action.
That makes sense, Emma. It's all about staying calm under pressure and using your critical thinking skills. What's another idiom that could be useful in job interviews?
Let's consider play to your strengths. It means to focus on the skills or qualities that you have, which can give you an advantage over others. In an interview, highlighting your strengths can help you stand out as a candidate.
I see what you mean, Emma. So, it's about being honest about your abilities, but also presenting them in the best possible light. That's really valuable advice for anyone preparing for a job interview.
Absolutely, Liam. And finally, let's talk about move forward. It means to proceed with a plan or to make progress, often after a setback or a challenging situation. In the context of a job search, it could mean continuing to apply for positions after facing rejections.
That's a great attitude to have, Emma. It's about perseverance and not giving up, even when things get tough. Thanks for sharing all these useful phrasal verbs and idioms with us today.
You're welcome, Liam. It's been a pleasure discussing job interview basics with you, and I hope our listeners have found this conversation helpful.
And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to English Vibes Hub. If you found this episode helpful, please like and subscribe to our channel for more content on improving your English skills.
Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you can stay updated on our latest episodes. We'll see you in the next one, and we look forward to continuing the conversation on English Vibes Hub.